It's time to prepare for extraterrestrial disclosure. Here's what you need to know now. The purpose of this video is to prepare you for real disclosure, not the fake one coming from the controllers. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I help people to spiritually awaken so they can enter a conscious path of ascension. Okay, you guys, it is time that we have an adult conversation about extraterrestrials and about our place in the universe. Now, why do I say adult conversation? It's because the controllers have set us up to approach this topic like children. They've set us up to approach it in a very childish manner. Ever since radio, television, and movies were invented, we have been subjected to an entire series of fictitious stories about ETs, space, spaceships, etc. And a lot of these movies and shows have actually been very close to reality. However, the way that it goes into our minds is this. Oh, this stuff is all fake. It's all entertainment. It's all actors. None of this is really real. So that's primarily our only exposure to this topic. I mean, literally, fake, fictitious stories about this topic is the only thing that we, the people, have been allowed to be exposed to. And then the other side of this story is that we are told that like everything else in our lives, the media, the government, the school systems, all that stuff, they are the authorities. They are the authorities who will tell us what reality is. So if they don't say it, it's not real. So let's put those two things together. Basically, whenever the topic of extraterrestrials, UFOs, spaceships, whenever that topic comes up, here's what's going to happen. You're either going to be met with, oh, no, that's fake. That's just in the movies. That only happens in the movies. If you're saying that's real, then you're just crazy. Or, well, if the government and the media don't tell us it's real, then it's not real. So this is why I say at the beginning of this conversation, we need to take a step back away from all that junk, all that brainwashing. We need to have an adult conversation. So let's start with our perceived isolation in the cosmos. Guys, this is not normal. See, the physical lockdown that we're experiencing today due to this health issue is nothing compared to the much bigger cosmic lockdown that we have been subjected to for centuries. See, the physical planet-wide lockdown that we're experiencing now in 2020 is a desperate attempt on the part of the controllers to hold on to us as their slaves. And make sure you watch this video to find out how we got here. So what this current lockdown is showing us now is that we have been lied to on nearly every single front. We were told that the purpose of our lives was to get educated, work for decades in a job, reproduce, and then basically burn out and die. I mean, from the moment we took our very first breath, we were treated like this so-called purpose was like a mandate from God, and anything else was just entirely unacceptable. And now we find out it was all a lie. We know it's a lie because they just pulled the rug out from under all of it. I mean, education is no longer useful or really needed, which is why they can close all the schools and pretend that teachers, parents, and kids who have no understanding and no training about virtual learning can just be thrown into that situation overnight with no real infrastructure whatsoever. And as it turns out, it's a miserable failure. Everybody knows it, but the controllers don't care. And jobs are over too. Shut down businesses, ruin the economy, and we don't need that stuff anymore. And when they start talking about overpopulation and how humans are the scourge of the earth, here's what that really means. Reproduction is over too. We don't need you people reproducing anymore. And then what this all boils down to is this. It's time for the AI universe. Ta-da! Surprise, people! You have been royally screwed again. Now, I need to mention one more thing before I get into the subject of extraterrestrial disclosure, because we have to set the stage for that conversation. You notice how all of a sudden there's this amplification of racism? And did you also notice how we are suddenly being told to put an excruciating focus on the slavery of the past? You know what the past is, right? It's something that's over, it's gone, it's unchangeable. Now, guys, this is actually a diabolical trick. They do not want us to notice that we are, in truth, cosmic galactic slaves right now, living on a slave planet. And that includes every single one of us, and it has nothing to do with skin color. We are completely and totally controlled on every single level, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So now that you understand that picture, look at this. We are also collectively brainwashed to believe that the universe is empty. There's no one out there, just a bunch of stars and rocks and gases. They call it science. I call it lies. Now, I want you guys to comprehend something. The controllers who have lied to us about virtually everything via schools, religion, and the media are the very same authorities who tell us that there's no one else out there. And this puts us in a very bad state of hopelessness, where all we can do is pray to the false god of the religions. You know, the invisible god that no one ever sees. Now, here's how you know that the religion's gods are fake. It's because they're all different. That means they're all made up. Now, guys, please don't turn around and say, "Oh, Saratoga, are you saying there is no God?" No, of course I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you have religions fighting each other and killing people over whose God is the right one, then it's obviously all fake. So here we sit on this planet in a big fat mess. The controllers have made sure that we have no way out and no one to turn to. Okay, so now let's talk about extraterrestrial disclosure. And this is a huge, complex topic, so I may not get into everything in this one video. We have organizations, people, and whistleblowers who desperately want the government to admit that ETs and UFOs are real. Let's put our cosmic thinking caps on for a moment. What kind of lame creatures are we to assign that kind of power to the controllers who have done nothing but lie to us about everything from day one? I mean, think about this. The first qualification for any politician is to be an excellent and highly skilled liar. I mean, isn't that kind of obvious? I mean, are we seriously this controlled that we cannot connect with or acknowledge extraterrestrial forces unless the government says they are real? Okay, let me give you a clue about something. The government and controllers of this planet are never going to admit that UFOs and ETs are real unless they're forced to. And here is why. It's because if they do, they will instantly lose power. So if they find themselves forced to do so, they're going to do it very carefully and very strategically to keep themselves in a position of authority and power where the rest of us are concerned. See, if they just let it out openly, then the entire system that was built to enslave us, including religions, all of that would instantly collapse. Now, here's something that we can all think about. The entire money system on this planet is run on oil. If you were to introduce galactic free energy technology into this system, you would completely destroy the entire financial system that makes us slaves and controls all of us. And here's something else to think about. You want to know why they keep talking about solar power and wind power? Because they don't want us thinking about anything else. I mean, seriously, you guys, solar power and wind power are some of the dumbest contraptions ever invented. I mean, the materials and the infrastructure needed to create them are very destructive to the environment. And let's face it, those windmills kill an awful lot of birds. And then, how cute is it that these technologies always prove to be completely inadequate anyway? And then they can say, see, this is why we still need fossil fuels. The whole thing is one big scam. You see, the truth is that we live in a galaxy with amazing free energy technologies that are completely in harmony with nature that we are not given access to. I mean, you've got the controllers saying things like, yay, solar power and wind power are the thing. Electric cars are just awesome. I mean, guys, seriously? Electric cars, really? See, the point is it doesn't even occur to us to demand better than that. This is not about fossil fuels. This is about, these are the crumbs they give us as a substitute. See, they propose these really dumb, ridiculous technologies, and then they tell us, oh, it's because we care about the planet. You know, if we were behaving like true adults at a cosmic level, do you want to know what we would say to them? We would say this. We would say, you know what? You guys don't care about the planet. That's a lie. If you cared about the planet, you would give us access to free energy technology that does not in any way destroy or harm any life whatsoever on this planet, improves the lives of everyone, etc., etc. You would give us access to that technology that you know full well exists. You know what it is, you know how to get it, but you are preventing us from having it. So don't talk to us about goofy things like solar panels and windmills and electric cars and rocket ships that look like firecrackers with fire coming out of one end. Don't talk to us about that nonsense. If we were adults, we would call them out on all of this, you guys. But that's not what we do, because we still believe that if the controllers say to us, hey guys, there's nothing else, this is all we got, then we of course believe there's nothing else. So you can start to see why ET disclosure is actually a very complex situation. And the biggest concern of all, even among the extraterrestrials, is that a fast, sudden disclosure would completely freak people out. So let's talk about that. If our extraterrestrial counterparts suddenly revealed themselves to us, here's why we would collectively freak out in a state of mass hysteria. We would actually not freak out because of the ETs. We would freak out because we would realize that our entire reality, everything that we have built our hopes and dreams on, all of it has been one big fat lie. We would be faced with a conscious recognition of the horror that has been done to us, and the trauma of that realization would completely overwhelm us. Now, the extraterrestrials know this, so they have to proceed very carefully. Now, let's talk for a moment about the Great Awakening. What people call the Great Awakening is the physical counterpart to what I call the Great Spiritual Awakening. People on this planet are waking up so fast that I think something is changing when it comes to our ET counterparts. I think they are getting physically closer to us. Now, the controllers know this, and they are going to do everything in their power to control the narrative. Let's take a look at a recent article that just appeared in news outlets everywhere. This was from a man who headed Israel's space security program for the past 30 years. He said that the US government and the Israeli government were in touch with the Galactic Federation and that these governments have secret deals with them. He said that our president was about to reveal this, but the Federation told him not to because people aren't ready yet. Now, I know this could sound kind of exciting to people who've been waiting for disclosure, but I gotta tell you guys, I'm really a little bit suspect of the motive behind this article and how it came out. I say that because it affirms the idea that governments and the media are the ultimate arbiters on the existence of extraterrestrials. And then remember when we had those Navy pilots' radar images of what they were calling those tic-tac spaceships? Tic-tac spaceships? I mean, how dumb and insignificant does that sound? But again, that was very interesting because, see, those UFOs were deemed to be real. They were deemed to be official because they came from the government. But let someone else talk about an extraterrestrial encounter that is not filtered through the controller's narrative, and well, that's just automatically deemed a fraud. What makes it a fraud? Well, it didn't come from the controllers. Now, I could probably guess what your next question is going to be. Well, then why don't the ETs just bypass the governments and reveal themselves to us all on their own? Well, that's actually our fault, you guys. It has to do with something called free will. Think of collective humanity as one giant thought form that sends a planetary signal out into the universe. The signal is this: our every thought, word, and action is completely controlled by the government, by schools, by religion, and the media. Outside of that, we collectively do not acknowledge the existence of anything else. We stand on that and we are committed to it with our very lives. Anyone who states anything to the contrary of what we are told to think will be laughed at, ridiculed, and ultimately destroyed. That, my friends, is our collective message to the universe. And because we have free will, that message is honored and they stay away. I mean, think about it. That's a real inviting message, isn't it? And then by default, that message puts the government, the media, schools, and religion in complete control of the narrative. That's why the ETs cannot approach us on a physical level, because we, the people of this planet Earth, make it impossible. We are so physically, mentally, and spiritually welded to these controllers that the shock and trauma of seeing anything else would make true disclosure a complete disaster. So instead of disclosure empowering us, we would, by our own hand and our own collective stupid beliefs, we would allow it to destroy us. So we, the people of this planet Earth, are actually standing in our own way. We are in a sick, abusive relationship with these controllers. And there are many, many people on this planet who will defend that relationship at the cost of their own souls. Hey, when you defend the idea of permanently suffocating yourself with a piece of cloth on your face and having little or no human contact because the controllers said so, then you are in a truly sick and disgusting situation that you steadfastly and staunchly believe in. You are in no condition whatsoever to rejoin the galactic community of life that we are supposed to be a part of. So here's the situation in a nutshell. Our deep-rooted spiritual belief in these controllers and in what they say, no matter how abusive it is, sends a powerful message to the extraterrestrial universe. The message is this: do not come here. Your very presence alone will completely destroy the illusion that we, as a collective humanity, have staked our lives on. We're just not ready for that. So unfortunately, what this does is this puts us in a position, it puts us in a potential trap, you guys, where the only way we can get disclosure is through the government and whatever their secret deals are with other extraterrestrial races. And we don't even know if those ETs are good or not. I mean, we're talking about a government that does nothing but lie to us, and we're going to trust that they have made a deal with benevolent extraterrestrials for our human benefit? I think that could be a little bit doubtful. So here's my final point. It's not that we're not ready for extraterrestrial disclosure. That's not what this is at all. It's that we are not collectively ready to give up our belief in the controller's purported reality. We are just not ready to have that reality completely destroyed. And if you doubt that, look at the level of compliance and adaptation going on around the world right now. Look at how many millions of people still do not ask any questions about what they're being told. So I think if we want real disclosure from benevolent extraterrestrials, it's going to have to come directly from those ETs themselves. And this is why a very deep spiritual awakening is going to be necessary if that kind of disclosure is ever going to occur. We have to come to terms with what we have allowed to become deeply entrenched in our collective psyche, because the thing is, until we do that, we don't even know what to ask for. Now, I'm going to be saying more about this in the future, but I think for now this is probably enough and gives you guys a whole lot to start thinking about. So I hope you found value in this, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think would appreciate this information. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I am here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and positive energy. And I so look forward to seeing you in the next video. Namaste.